you looking for a way to maximize storage space in your closet? In this video, we're going to show you how to build simple and cheap DIY closet shelves using melamine. First, you'll want to start by measuring your closet space. This will help you determine the height you'd like your shelves to be and the spacing. We like to get a piece of graph paper and just map out the dimensions of the space as well as determine the shelf placement. And an easy way to do this is by thinking of what items you're going to store in your closet. So we'll measure our storage bins and items that will actually go on the shelves, and this will help you be able to determine the shelf placement. Instead of going for painted shelves in this closet space, we're going to use melamine. It's a great material for closet shelves. It's an engineered wood product that has a hard surface, and it's resistant to chipping, scratches, and water damage. So it's the perfect choice for closet shelves. Once you have your design mapped out, you'll be able to see how long each shelf will be, and you can determine how much shelving boards you'll need to go by. To get started in the closet, you'll want to mark your wall for the placement of the center support board. Our wall is about 6 feet long, and we chose to put the support board in the center of the wall. We used our laser level to mark the placement for each support, then we made marks up the wall for the placement of each shelf. Next, we transferred the shelf placement marks in each of the corners. To allow the support board to sit flush against the wall, we're going to use an oscillating tool to remove 3/4 inch wide section of the baseboard. And we're going to place a putty knife on the floor just to help us prevent chipping the floor, because that would stink. After the cuts have been made, we scored the caulk line at the top of the baseboard with a utility knife, and then we were able to remove that small piece of baseboard. The first pieces we're going to cut for our shelving unit are the center supports. Ours are cut to 64 1/4 high. Now, the melamine can chip while cutting if you're not careful, but if you invest in a saw blade with a higher tooth count, it can prevent chipping. So we're using a 60 tooth circular saw blade for our melamine that's 3/4 inch thick. If yours is thinner, you'll want an 80 tooth blade. Now you can slide the center support board right into that notch you cut out of your baseboard, and you'll see that it fits nice and flush up against the wall. Each shelf will be supported by cleats secured to the wall, so we're going to use our stud finder and just mark a couple of the studs in the wall so we can know exactly where we need to drive the brad nailer. We're using scrap lumber for our cleats. They are 3/4 inch thick by 1.5 inches wide. And to figure out the length, we just measured from the center support to the edge of the wall. It's a good idea to measure each of these cleats individually because walls are generally not super square, which is frustrating. Ours varied anywhere from about 1/8 to 1/4 inch. To locate the exact position of the cleat, we're using the marks we placed on the walls in the beginning, and we're using a level as well just to make sure that everything is going to be nice and square when the shelves are installed. Now the side cleats are a little bit different. We cut them 1 inch shorter than the shelf. We set up a piece of wood as a block on our chop saw, and these can all be cut to the same length since the shelves are the same depth. This just makes for quick cutting of all of the cleats. After we had all the cleats cut to length, we made a slight angle cut at the end just so it wasn't a 90-degree cut and it was less sharp. The cleats on this wall actually needed to be longer than the shelves so that we could have the cleats secured into 2 studs. The edges of these were also angled so they weren't as sharp, and we again used our level to make sure they were perfectly straight before we secured them into place. Then we used some wood putty to fill in all the holes from the brad nailer. Once that had dried, we sanded it smooth and applied paint to the cleats. We chose to match our wall color so that it would blend in. And since the shelves will be sitting on top of the cleats, you only need to paint the front and underneath sides of the cleat. We measured and cut the cleats for these center support boards the same way, and we chose to paint these ones white so they would blend in more with the melamine. We attached these the same way we did the cleats to the wall. These were first secured with 1-inch brads to hold them into place in the melamine. Once both sides of the center support had cleats in them, we went back in with 2-inch brads and secured it in from both sides just to make things a little bit more sturdy. Now it's time to measure and install the shelves. We're starting with the top shelf first so that we can secure it into the center support board and make sure everything is nice and square before we move on to the remaining shelves. Once the top shelf is in position, we used a framing square to locate the center of the support board, and this will let us be able to see where to drive the brads down into the support board. We also secured the edges and back of the shelf into the cleats with 2-inch brads. Once we had that first top shelf into place and secured with the brads, we were able to install this other board going the other direction and repeat the same steps, making sure everything was nice and flush and securing it into place. In the corner where the two shelves meet, we attached a support board at the seam of the two shelves with construction adhesive and a few brads. We cut them to 4 inches wide and 1 inch shorter than the depth of the shelf, like we did the cleats on the right-hand side of the wall. Now you can go ahead and measure for each shelf. It is important to measure each specific shelf again, just because the walls will likely not be perfectly square. So take your time on this step. You will be glad that you don't have any gaps in your shelves. We started at the bottom and worked our way up. So you'll first want to test fit your shelf and make sure everything looks good, and then you can go ahead and secure the shelf into the cleats with your brads. To finish things off, we filled in any remaining brad holes with wood putty and then caulked the seams. We hope you found this guide helpful. Not only will you save a ton of money building shelves on your own, but you can also customize them any way to fit your space. If this is for a bedroom, you can of course put rods for hanging clothes or make smaller cubbies for shoe storage. Now that you've seen how to build and install simple closet shelves, do you feel confident to tackle this project in your home? Drop a comment and let us know what you think of this project. And if you give this a try in your own home, be sure to let us know how your project turns out. Thanks so much for watching. Take a minute to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss our weekly videos. We always share budget-friendly home improvement ideas that you can tackle on your own as well. And as always here at Sunnyside Design, we hope to bring your home to the sunny side of the street.